Hi, welcome to FTCR. We're talking about Sonic, the only thing you want us to talk about. Don't worry, we're back to it. Today with me, I have Games Enlisted. You can say hi.
Sus.
There we go. We have Smoothies.
Hello, it's me.
And for whatever reason, these people are on our Patreon being incredibly generous. So these people are with us for today and the next video. We have Derek.
Oh God, where am I?
My basement. And we have Adrian.
Hello, everybody.
Adrian was on Sonic Unleashed. Derek, have you been on anything before?
I have not yet.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. So today's topic, it's going to be a really uplifting one. We're going to be talking about
Sonky
der Hedgehog. They're the very broad what we want next from Sonic, or at least what we expect from Sonic the Hedgehog in this year. It's always an interesting topic because no matter what you guess, you'll probably be wrong.
Oh yeah.
Sonic always finds a way.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I did have some ideas of what we could expect for this year, but considering what's going on currently right now, everything's getting pushed back, so I wouldn't be surprised if what was supposed to happen later this year ends up not happening. So that's why a lot of this feels like kind of tentative, where it's like, oh, best case scenario. This is more best case scenario in a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, the in 2020 is in like massive air quotes now.
Maybe the 2020s will be more accurate by the end of this, but
Yeah.
It's a good thing Sonic's anniversary is 2021.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've already seen one delay.
What we want to see from Sonic eventually.
Yeah, someday. Because we were supposed to have the South by Southwest thing, where they do the panel and reveal like the letter of the next game, but South by Southwest got canceled, so I guess sometime this month they're going to talk about what they're planning next, and I think as usual Sonic fans will be very over expectant of what that will show, and then we'll get nothing, and then everyone will be like, why did they keep doing these, blah 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 blah, and then
Well, the people who are listening to this are clearly all Sonic fans. Otherwise, why the hell would you be listening to this? And everybody knows this is the year of Sonic. So that's what you mean by this month, what we're expecting? Because this is the year of Sonic, Chris.
oh right, this is the year of Sonic. I forgot all about that.
Oh, you forgot.
Of course it's the year of Sonic that just everything goes to shit.
Sounds like his career.
What have we gotten each month? Stefan, do you remember?
I think there was something that was in January, and then the movie was in February, obviously. But I don't think anything happened in March, because that was when all of this shit like hit the fan. So they were like, yeah, let's not worry about this and worry about the important things. So
Would you like to know what happened in March? Because it did eventually happen.
oh, what was it?
Oh,
So for those who maybe aren't aware, because nothing of note has really happened in them, on the 20th every month, because 2020 Sonic 2020 blah 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 blah, they're doing a live stream with Mr. Jun Sonoe and Kazuki Hoshino? Yes. They're live streaming in Japanese from Japan, making various Sonic announcements. February's, I think, was just a music album and talking about Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, which is a little awkward in hindsight. March got pushed to March 27th, where they announced the Sonic IDW comic coming to Japan.
Oh, right. That's what that was. Yeah.
I think that's the first time an American comic will be put in Japanese for them. I hope they enjoy it. I haven't been keeping up with it. And we also, I'm looking through my phone here for the album. They put out basically the T-Lopes remixes on music streaming services, and that's basically it.
Oh, like the sort of like recent ones, like the Station Square remix? That was one you did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all four of those. So if you have Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, I guess that's there for you now.
did you mention what happened in January?
What happened in January?
No, that's what I'm asking. There's supposed to be one every month, right?
In my mind, they started in February, but maybe there was something in January. Because I feel like this is only the second one. Look, Sonic, we're in such a drought. I really do think it was just the movie stuff. Somehow.
How long ago did what's it called? Forces? How long did that come out? Was that 17?
2017. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're on a long waiting game with Sonic games these days.
I think currently, since this is now the longest it has been between main Sonic games ever.
Ever?
So we're not caring about like TSR and stuff like that.
Well, they're not not spin-offs. I mean, like main series. So like the main platformer console stuff. Yeah, this is the longest it's been.
Oh, you're right.
That's wild.
Not yet. Lost World was 13. And then, unless you want to count Sonic Runners,
Well, wait. Colors was when?
2010.
2010.
Oh, yeah.
Well, technically, if you can, well, consider that. I know Boom is technically a spin-off, but it did release on a console and was kind of promoted as like the big Sonic game.
Nah.
So it's either 3 or 4 years. It's either 3 years between Boom and Forces, or 4 years between Lost World and Forces.
Yeah.
But even then, like now, it's going to be 4 years at the very least.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're seeing a Sonic Team game until next year.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my first bold prediction. I know that's crazy and shattering the house.
I do have one question because right now, because everything's been really quiet about this, but when do you think a Mania 2 or another Mania-esque game? Because this feels like a thing of like, it's a no-brainer, it's gonna happen, but I feel just with how they've been dragging their feet, it might not happen for a while. So do you think we're gonna get a Mania 2 and then another, like the Sonic Team game, both in 2021? Or do you think it's gonna be one and then the other
I
following
didn't
years?
even think about them being connected.
Oh, boy.
Well, you didn't say connected.
No, I just meant like coming out in the same years.
But what if they do that again?
Was Mania also 2017 or was that earlier?
Mania was...
Earlier 2017, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Summer 17.
Can we talk about what we don't want for Sonic for 2020? I don't want classic Sonic.
Steven, how could you?
I don't want no, I'm fine with classic like being in his own game. And I think this is everyone's opinion. I'm not alone in this. I don't want a classic modern mesh game.
Yep.
I'm just imagining the one person out there who's like, well, he doesn't speak for me. I would like another one of those.
So, I mean, we had Generations and then Forces. I don't want another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with how bad it turned out in Forces. It's like, yeah, just
Is it impossible for them to give classic Sonic the same controls he does in the classic games?
Apparently.
I don't
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know why. That's
I hope they get a message from the last few games because of, how well received Mania was in comparison to both Generations and, well, Generations was well received, but at least the classic gameplay in Generations and in Forces. I guess even then the classic gameplay was kind of okay in Generations, but anyway, what I'm getting at is I hope they get the message there where really when it shines is when you're putting all the effort in to make it its own big thing, like they did in Mania.
Right. Like not only an authentic feeling Sonic, but also an authentic feeling Sonic in fun stages, I think is the important part that kind of got missed, especially with Forces. Because even if, I'll say that Forces Classic Sonic didn't feel great to play, but if the level design felt more designed around that, it probably wouldn't have been as bad. But when I think of Classic Sonic Forces, I just think of that fucking pinball level in the jungle where
Casino Force.
the pinball mechanics don't even work correctly. Like, I played through that again recently, the other month, and
because it was free on PSN.
Yes, because it was free on PSN. And we did a video with the Golden Bolt on his channel, and God, I almost want to say, at least if they put out something very good that's Classic Sonic, I don't mind it.
Right.
But as someone who came into this series with the 3D games, like that was my entry point. That's kind of my touchstone. I would rather just... The only thing I can really like get excited for is the idea of them making a good 3D Sonic game, because I feel like I kind of had that taste of good 2D Sonic, and I'm kind of good on that. And now I'm just looking back over the Sonic team and being like, all right, so what's your move now? Because I just need to believe in this series again.
It says a lot that the best thing about Forces was the Avatar stage.
Yeah.
Which does like not just the Avatar in general, like the character creation, just the way that gameplay worked. I think it's the one you could clearly tell that was that they were the most passionate about that. While Classic Sonic seemed very much like a last minute, just gonna dump in because they're like, Classic Sonic, let people like Classic Sonic. People are scared about the Avatar.
We'll give him 5 short stages. Fuck him.
Well, wasn't he in the original trailer, though?
Who, Classic? For Forces? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically... They showed off, like... Did they even give a name at that point? Or was it literally just like, hey, Classic Sonic is here, and that's the trailer?
What was it? Was Project something?
Project Sonic, yeah.
Project Sonic 2017.
Yeah.
And that was during the 2016 like anniversary stream. So it was like about a little over a year before the game actually came out.
I do think that I think that, they definitely have something there, from the Avatar, the feel of the gameplay and also the modern Sonic gameplay, just the general feel. Something is definitely there that they can bring back to definitely make a good, 3D Sonic game.
Sure.
It's just a lot of the decisions from Forces were just why.
Mm-hmm. I'd almost even like to see Sonic Team just spin that out into something else that's not Sonic and maybe work on that.
Oh, so give a team that only works in one thing a breath of fresh air.
What a crazy concept. Yeah.
I know.
Especially because I think going back to around to Stefan's original question to answer it, I don't think we're seeing a air quote Sonic Mania 2 from at least the same team of Sonic Mania people. Maybe they can contract some of the people that worked on it, but I think once we saw Christian Whitehead and some of those guys split off and make their own studio, I think that was kind of the death knell for a Sonic Mania 2, as it were, anytime soon.
I kind of have this conspiracy theory that they saw the success that Sonic Mania had, and then compared to Forces, and they just kind of begrudgingly were annoyed. They begrudgingly gave their support for it because they're like, yeah, this is a successful thing, so we'll promote it because it's successful, but we're mad because we didn't actually make it. So, and yeah, because there's a lot of talk about Sega of Japan for the longest time was being they were trying to push Sonic as they're trying to give Sonic like their own attention and their own spin over like the America side, which is where most of Sonic's popularity is in general. So you see like you see like Sega of America, which is like trying to go for a certain direction for Sonic and try to like do that, while Japan is doing a completely opposite thing. So you have these two kind of butting heads. And now since Sega did their whole restructuring, where now Sonic Team directly, or like, what wasn't it that Sonic Team is now directly like working under Sega of America? So, and I think that was like last year or 2 years ago when that officially happened. So now things might be slightly different, and they're just trying to work out the bugs before everything actually gets going.
Are you saying we might actually get a good Sonic game for once?
Let's not get carried away here.
Okay, everybody say what's your favorite Sonic game? Chris, you first.
Ever?
Yeah, your favorite game. Doesn't matter how good or bad it is or what people think about it. Which one?
Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. Okay, I figured. Stefan, you too.
Unleashed HD.
Okay, Derek.
Sonic Adventure.
Okay, Adrian.
The odd one out here, Sonic 3 Knuckles.
How fucking dare you?
What? No, I think Sonic 3 Knuckles is great.
Yeah, Sonic 3 Knuckles is like my 2 or 3.
What a hot take.
Yeah, what a hot take. Sonic 3 Knuckles is my favorite Sonic game.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it is. It's just everyone else has Sonic Adventure. I'm just like, I grew up classic. So
yeah, in this call, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that would go to whichever game I've played the most and which one I know the most, and that would be 3 and K for me. I keep going back to it. It's a lot of fun. So what do you think works about those games? Because all of these games that we've mentioned definitely have like some glaring issues about them. So what are the pros of them? Because maybe that's what we want in a game. Because I kind of I feel like people think that Sonic Team isn't listening to what people want, but maybe they're listening to everybody at once, and that's why we have a hodgepodge of no direction. I feel like Sonic has no direction.
he doesn't.
I feel like they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, pretty much. That seems like the most obvious answer.
Because would we say that Sonic games were better more than 10 years ago? I mean, based on our answers of which games we like the most, that might resonate. Was it just because they were doing what they wanted to do and they were having fun with it? Is that what they need to do? Is stop listening? I don't know. Chris, your thoughts?
Hi, my name is Chris. I am an FTCR, and I have thoughts. To answer the first question, I think the commonality between each of the games we mentioned is that a lot of them are very arcadey. Like, they're very, I think there's just a lot of arcade elements specifically to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Adventure 1, and Sonic Unleashed.
Do you mean pick it up, put it down?
Pick it up, put it down, like really short, but not too short stages, high emphasis on speed, good mixture of platforming in all the games we mentioned. And I think they just do a lot of things. 3 and K doesn't really do this because it's an earlier game, but when I think of Sonic Adventure, I think of how it grades you and how there's all these UI elements on the screen all the time, like in Gamma stages. Those are very arcadey, stuff like that. So to me, like, especially with Sega's history as an arcade game company primarily, I think it's always made the most sense and shown the best results when Sonic is very arcade focused.
Well, don't you feel like Forces has done that, even though we sort of agree that it's not the best game?
I think Forces did do that, and I think that's where you need the other side of the equation, where the stages are, I don't know, at least more memorable.
Like I think it's obvious. Like you could look at it and you kind of notice that their biggest issue, that arcade idea, which is their biggest issue is making a game that's long enough to be considered a game. So like they'll add like more characters, a lot more padding in the sense like that, and people are like, we don't want to deal with like all this padding. So that when they finally toned down and made like Colors, which is just a short 2 to 3 hour game, and people are like, this is really good, we like this, so they're like, oh, we can get away with making short-ish games. So it's like they cut out most of the, so like they don't have to worry about like putting in so much, and they cut out a lot of the fluff and but then when you get the Forces, it's like so much of the fluff has been cut out that it's trying to feel like an adventure game, but it's structured like Colors, like so without the fluff, and it ends up feeling very like dead. Like there's a reason why people don't mind Colors being so short, but everybody jokes about how short Forces is because
interesting.
You think that there should be more to it.
Well, Colors is a little longer, isn't it?
I think they're about this. They're probably about the same if you like skip all the cutscenes.
It's like what, six levels in each part, and there's like 5 parts. That's 30 levels, right?
Yeah.
And Forces has 30 because Forces Guns Bosses is 30.
Unless I counted it wrong, and I'm sure people will tell me in the comments.
Well, Steven, you forgot the Game Land stages.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There is a mode in Colors that lets you basically just play the entire game like a classic Sonic game, like level to level, and I think that takes about 2 hours.
Yeah, the egg shuttle. Yep.
Yeah.
Derek also said Adventure. What do you think works the best about Adventure?
I think the overall feel of it in both the actual gameplay and the control, but also just the tone of it. It's not exactly. It's not cartoony like you would see in Lost World is probably the biggest example of that, or Colors. But it's also not like
serious.
It's a little serious, and it gets serious when it needs to. When it gets to the Tikal flashbacks, and especially the one where they're burning down the temple, it can get serious. But only when it needs to, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, and that's a good balance on the tone. I also really like this.
I think when I say serious, I mean like Sonic picking up a gun or a princess killing herself.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's what I would consider, overstaying its welcome or going too far on it. Yeah,
right.
I will say I'm probably an odd man out in really, really enjoying the alternate game modes in Sonic Adventure. I think they really do add a lot to the game.
Yeah.
So you think that Sonic Adventure struck a great balance in tone?
I think it did, yeah.
Okay. No, I agree with you.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite personalities of Sonic is that sort of guy who's like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, but I also am not going to get pushed over by someone who wants to be a dick to the world. I feel like Sonic nowadays is like just really jokey and cartoony, and which is fine. I like that one too. But I kind of like Sonic who just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, and going back to what you mentioned about like the multiple character thing, like because I think that's something that everybody's been said is that
right.
They just need to kind of get over their like worriedness about the people being mad about multiple playable characters, because it's gotten to the point where just Sonic has been a bit stale, and that's when Mania goes ahead and has multiple playable characters again and bring back Mighty and Ray. People rejoice because it's like, oh my god, new different people to play as, but like similar enough to Sonic. So now it's like you just need. And people like the Avatar, like, and how like the Avatar works is like it's like Sonic but slightly different. So now it's like, give us 3D Tails again, give us 3D Knuckles again, like just keep doing like stuff like that. And people like when you could play as even though it was basically just a skin of Sonic, just being able to play as Shadow in 3D again and forces you in for a little bit. That was really fun.
Kind of like the classic games, he had slight differences to Sonic that were kind of interesting when they did stuff with it.
Yeah.
I don't love the implementation of Forces just because I don't love that game, but looking at it objectively, like that is more what I'd like to see from 3D Sonic games.
I think a lot of the issue delves from 06 because it's like, 06 was the last game that like put so many characters in. So they kind of looked at it as, this is why we don't want to have too many characters in. But it's like, it's balance. One, don't put like 9 different characters in, maybe put 6 characters in. Like that worked for Adventure 1 and Adventure 2. And 2, everybody in that game was bad, so it's not like you screwed up the entire game, so you can't really use the characters as an excuse to not do them anymore.
I think Heroes was also a contributing factor to that sentiment. Mainly just like I don't really agree with that being a factor though, is the thing, because it did have, a lot of characters in it just because of, how that game was, but I think
only 3 playstyles.
Yeah, the biggest issues with that game don't come from just there being a lot of characters. I think the biggest issues are the controls and just the general gameplay loop where you're, essentially doing the same game but in an easy, medium, and hard difficulty before you actually, complete the game.
And mission mode.
And for Heroes, you're basically just you're not playing as like, say, 12 characters. You're playing as essentially 4 characters where you're playing 3 people at the same time. And the 4 thirds all play pretty much similarly. So it feels like you're either playing 4 people that play exactly the same or 3 people that all play similar to each other. So it's also a weird case of they're all similar to each other enough that you don't really think, these multiple playable characters, like they're the problem. It's just replaying basically the game 4 times the same way. Like that, that's the issue rather than the characters themselves.
Mm.
Adrian or Stefan, fight to the death to see who gets to talk first about their favorite Sonic game.
On guard.
Go, Adrian, go ahead.
Fight.
Stefan is dead.
Adrian wins the fight, TKO.
Well, I wish I could, like in real life, I wish I could do that. But
I wish you could kill Stefan.
No, TKO.
Okay.
But
Wub.
I'm glad we clarified that.
I'm a deranged individual, but
Jesus.
You're in the
but
right place.
Yeah, actually.
But what I do like with Sonic 3 and Knuckles is, basically it's telling a story without the use of words or anything like that, and you can actually follow what's going on, like within the opening cutscene to like the different stage transitions. It all like links together to form a whole narrative across without anybody voice acting or anything like that. Also, what I like about it is that it has a bit more of a serious tone compared to the previous 2 games because, Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, everyone's like, oh, happy, we have hills and they're green and emeralds and, whatnot. Then you get to Angel Island halfway through and someone was like, I'm going to burn this motherfucker to the ground right now. And then it just like blows up the entirety of Angel Island and lights that shit on fire. So it's like, oh, okay, this is a little bit different here. So it's the little things like that. So it's the little pieces for me that I think makes it good as a whole when it comes to like storytelling. Also, the controls are pretty damn smooth. I mean,
yeah,
classic Sonic games, you really can't go any smoother than that. And I do like his the Sonic 3 design.
Me too.
So like the updated updated sprites. It's just like you could tell they spent a lot of time, even though they did have to split it apart for a bit. But you can tell that all the effort that they put into the artwork, into the music especially. Oh my God, one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. So for me, it's just like that perfect blend of just having all those units together without it feeling boring or without it feeling like you're having a rough time or anything like that. Well, if you're playing through your first time, it is difficult. It is not an easy game. Just like, a lot of classic games tend to do, Sonic or otherwise. Sonic 3 Knuckles is like that perfect mix of all those things wrapped into one.
It's a very cohesive game.
Yeah, my biggest disappointment with Mania was that there wasn't more of a clear story. because it's like, I know you can kind of say, oh, like that isn't really a criticism because story doesn't matter, but like you said, Sonic 3 Knuckles told a story very well, like, yeah, just in the background and through very limited use of character interactions. So like I was hoping, because Mania starts off and it looks like you're going to get something like that, but then they just kind of give up like midway through, and so then at the end you get kind of a conclusion to a story arc that I guess was going on but you never actually saw. Like, I think if they actually played around with it, played more with the fact that, oh, stuff was going on in the background while you were traveling, you'd see more of like the individual, like, I know like half of them were added in post later on, but I think just like those zone transitions could have added a bit more to, oh, this is why we're going to this place, or this is why like they're going to the next zone or whatever. I think that would have made like the whole experience much more interesting, rather than you're going to this zone, now you're going to go to this zone, now you can go back to this zone, oh, here's a new zone, now you're going back to the other zone. It's just there isn't really like a reason why each level is like you said, like there is a reason why each level you go to the next one in 3 and K, while it's just you're being bounced around. Sometimes it's the Phantom Ruby's fault, sometimes you're just go somewhere else.
Sometimes you just do it.
It's good that they did realize that after the fact and add some of that in later.
Stefan, what do you like about your favorite Sonic game, Unleashed HD? What do you like about it?
I like Unleashed HD because I just, well, first off is like I think the boost mechanic, like the sense of speed, how it's used. Well, I like the overall gameplay.
This was first 3D boost Sonic, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I think gameplay wise, Generations does the boost gameplay the best. Just that sense of speed that you get, though the control is more. It's more like fixed and fluid in Generations, just that sense of controlling Sonic in a 3D space while not be like, I think that's probably other than Adventure Style, that's probably the best they've gotten to controlling Sonic in 3D, both combining that sense of speed while also being able to do like pretty good platforming in open areas. So it's like, I really love like just being able to control Sonic in both those games. And then I think what puts Unleashed like over the top is just the sense of world building. It's like I love Adventure 1 and Adventure 2, so it's just kind of like, well, especially like Adventure 1's kind of whole like, yeah, just exploring the world, this sense of the way the story goes, like there's a sense of scope and epicness to the event. Like it's not just the story, but just the adventure. It's like, oh, you feel like you're making a sense of an impact, you're going to different places. It's like, I know there are people who don't like it because it's slowing down, you want speed, but I feel like so much, I think it's why like I like the 2D games, but it's just like 2 to 3 hours of just nonstop Sonic kind of gets tiring for me a bit. But it's like I like playing a bunch of through the super fast stage, and you get a few minutes of just walking over to the next part of the game, and it's like, oh, you can take a breath for as long as you want, just explore these worlds, and there's like there's like so much character to it. Just like
you get to control the pacing.
Yeah, pretty much. And then
if you want to explore the help worlds, that's up to you. And if you want to go fast, you can go.
And then I know there's like the werehog of it, which I think just because like I don't hate the werehog. Like I think the werehog kind of is like, I mean, like what people have joked about is that, oh, if it was Knuckles, nobody would have a problem. It's just I think the werehog controls fine. Like I think it's really fun. Like just his sense of combat. So I know his levels kind of go on a bit too long, and I think that's kind of the main issue. It doesn't bother me, which is why like I love Sonic Unleashed so much, even though it's obviously not perfect. So I think like, yeah, if you kind of take that idea of like, yeah, that Sonic's gameplay, this sense of world, and then other playable characters that maybe don't play exactly like Sonic but are fun in their own right, I think like that's what I want. That's why I think like everybody has said a Sonic Adventure remake would probably be the perfect thing, because Sonic Adventure does a lot of things so right, but it's just a case of the game is so dated and so kind of broken in a lot of ways,
right,
that it's like if you just kind of take the bare bones skeleton of it, but give it a new coat of paint and clean up a lot of the messed up aspects of it, it'd be like, I think it turned out like super great.
I think that the good things about Forces give me a lot of hope that a Sonic Adventure remake would be really good, because after, seeing a lot of the Avatar gameplay and the modern Sonic gameplay in Forces, like they could probably do the gameplay of Adventure 1 justice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you see them redoing Adventure with something closer to Adventure's controls, or are we going to see Boost Sonic in Adventure remake?
I'm not
against it.
Yeah, I would like the something maybe closer to Avatar's sort of play style, mainly because it's closer to Adventure 1's original play style.
With a gun.
Maybe without a gun.
Okay, no gun.
Like I'm thinking just like I'm thinking they could do something that's pretty close to Adventure 1's play style, I think, and get it right. It maybe wouldn't be exactly, the exact same feel. But basically what I'm saying is that they could do it and not fuck up.
I think so too, because if you look back at Adventure, it does have some quote unquote 2D platforming sections. However, they never fix the controls to ignore the Z axis. You can jump off towards the camera if you feel like it during those 2D platforming sections. So I think maybe Adventure could work for that. But Chris, you've been very quiet about this. I'm interested to hear what you think about Boost Sonic and Adventure 1.
I was thinking that might be a good separate topic video.
Oh,
I
shit.
feel like we'd have a lot to say about that. Because also we've been going on for a bit here.
The question I had just really fast is that would you want them to go the Crash and Spyro approach to the story and basically just have new voice actors do the dialogue verbatim, or would you want them to go for a rewrite?
That's the hard part in my mind all the time about this, is because we'll probably get more into it if we do the Sutter thing. But it's like, I think those games need massaged into something better, particularly in that department. But I'm also one of those people who thinks if you make this and say it's a Sonic Adventure remake, at a point you're risking straying too far from what that original game is. And I don't think they'd risk that with the story. I think there'd be more of an issue maybe with the gameplay, like the Boost Sonic thing. It's tough because I think they should massage those cutscenes, but then also at a point, maybe they should just change some aspects of their stories to make them more engaging or dynamic. Or
I feel like that's why I said like Crash and Spyro, which is like the story and like the animation, the cutscenes remain like they're changed up, but I mean like dialogue wise, because I mean the dialogue is still really fucking cheesy.
Yeah.
But we love for how cheesy it is. So do we want to like just stick with it, just with the new voice actors, or are they gonna give it like a cleanup in like save? Are they gonna call up Pontac and Graf again and have them do a cleanup of
maybe not contact those two.
Yeah.
I
that's not what this Sonic is. Mm-hmm. He's a different character.
Yeah, I think definitively I'd like to see them just call it a reimagining or something and just address some things, because like if you look at Sonic's story, it's just him failing repeatedly, and there's not a good like peak and valley progression to Sonic's story in that game that makes that feel rewarding. It just feels very downtrodden and not in a expertly done story way. It just feels like an accident that Sonic's just constantly like, I got a Chaos Emerald, and then Eggman shows up and bitch slaps it out of his hand. Is like, no, fuck you.
Sonic is the only one in that game who doesn't have any kind of an arc.
Yeah, he just shows up, loses constantly, and then wins. And it's like, well, I'd like to see them either capitalize on that and maybe slightly explore Sonic's emotional resonance. I don't think they need to go crazy with it, but there's no give and take. There's no payoff to that constant fuck downery on Sonic throughout that game. And I think for reasons like that, I would like to see them just touch it up.
Yeah.
Because especially with those cutscenes, that's a team of gameplay people trying to write a story and make a story, especially that early on. And it's just imagining some of that with fucking 2021 visual fidelity is just warping my mind in a way I don't like.
That was how I reacted to like the Spyro 1. Just like it's like they're literally just taking the script verbatim and just giving it like now professional voice acting and professional modeling, and I'm like, this is weird. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's better technically, but I'm not used to it. It just feels like incomplete a bit.
Right.
So like that's why I'm thinking like, oh, it may feel like incomplete if they just go ahead and do it bare bones, but like give it all this like new animation.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a fan of the term new coat of paint. Yeah. I feel like things need more than just a coat of paint.
This would be like Quentin Tarantino going back and remaking The Room a little bit.
What?
It's like you can give that all the style and substance you want, but if he's doing a shot-for-shot remake of The Room, like, what are you doing?
Right.
Well, you were talking about that sort of like feeling weird if they were to do it like dot for dot note for note on the dot. It sort of reminds me of, has anyone here seen those videos of like the sort of remakes of the Sonic Adventure 2 cutscenes?
Oh, yeah.
But they separate the voice lines so they're not interrupting each other all the time.
The Gmod videos, yeah, that's right.
And it just sounds so weird.
Yeah, those are odd.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like something like yeah, for if they do an Adventure 2 remake, I feel like something like that, they would be like a case of, like they fix a lot of things, but something like that, because it's so memeable and noteworthy, they'd probably keep that in on purpose.
That's also an issue of like, I think that's just an English script thing. I don't think the Japanese script was like that.
Wasn't SA2 written in English, translated to Japanese, and translated back to English?
I've heard that somewhere.
Isn't that that's the rumor?
It should certainly make sense.
Yuji Naka, if you're listening, please confirm. So Sonic for 2020, what do we want?
Oh, right. Fuck.
How about another Sonic 06? No.
Yeah, let's get another one of those. Token.
I want a Sonic movie video game.
No.
God, you would.
No joke. I know a few.
But you only get to play as Tom.
Okay. All right.
The first-person shooter.
There actually was a Sonic movie. In Sonic Dash, they had an update where you could play as Teen Sonic and Baby Sonic in like a San Francisco zone where you fought against like the Jim Carrey Robotnik mech.
It's not the same.
They're adding Long Claw to that as well, for what that's
Oh,
worth.
nice.
Oh my god. I thought she was dead.
No, it's fine. She's in San Francisco now. Don't worry about it.
She survived in the deleted scene.
Is that where you go when you die?
God, I wish that were me.
I hope. It's so hard to say what you want next from Sonic or try to predict what's next from Sonic because it's always shifting, and we can throw anything we want out there, and then Sega will come back and be like, "Yeah, we remade Sonic 3D Blast." I don't know, and you'll be like, "What?" Not that they would do that, but it's just always something so left field that it just always feels like aimless to try and predict what they want.
Yeah, what was the last main series game before Mania?
Before Mania?
Lost World.
Lost World.
Lost World? Yeah, I would not have expected after Lost World the next two would have been basically the classic remake that everyone was waiting for, and then War Story.
Shit. I wouldn't have expected Lost World after Colors and Generations.
Yeah.
Can I honestly think that the reason why we're getting all these games is I think that is because Sega is listening to us. I think everyone's thinking Sega's not, but everybody complained about Boost Sonic for Unleashed and Colors, and they're like, okay, well, we'll take Boost away. And then we got Lost World. And then people were like, I miss how serious SA2 was, and then we got
Forces.
Sonic Forces. Right. Like, you've seen, like, Flash games where, like, you can build a Sonic character. And it's kind of unfortunate that the builder in Forces is really similar to a Flash game. It probably could have been better.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that maybe they're listening to us too much. If you have everybody who wants something different, if Sonic Team is always trying to make a game based on a million different directions, that the game's not going to go anywhere, and that's why everybody's upset. Should they stop listening and just do what they want?
They honestly, I think they should, because like you can't please everybody no matter what, no matter how hard you try. So honestly, I just want them to just be able to make a game and then you know that they had fun with it as well. Not that you feel like it's being rushed or anything like that, because Forces felt kind of rushed. Or like, even though
Well, it was.
yeah, but it's like something like that, as long as it's just like an overall good product. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yes, there's going to be jank, but that's, you can say that just about any other game out there. There's always jank in something as well. So
I mean, honestly, like when you look at all of their game, like all of their games have stuff in it that like work and like are like pretty good in and of itself. Like Hero, like the concept of heroes and the way that's kind of structured, it's like, oh, that's really good. It's just like there's stuff like, yeah, the controls being too slippery, playing the game 4 times in a row, levels being really long. It's like there's like little things. You have like Shadow, like Shadow, which has like the ridiculousness of the over the top like darkness and all that stuff, but like the idea of like how the gunplay works and the idea of like branching pathways and doing missions within the levels, like that's not inherently a bad idea.
Right.
06 which is basically SA3, like the idea, the structure of it is inherently not bad. It's just cramming so much into it and then also not having anything be polished. Like, again, that brings up the issue. Unleashed, again, a lot of good ideas. It's just the fact that they had to put so much werehog in to stretch out the gameplay length. Again, like that dragged it down a lot. So it's just all these little things that if they just kind of focused on, they figured something that worked and just kind of put their all into that. Like, I think that's one of the things with Forces, where it's like, maybe if they just focused on, like, you can tell, like, oh, they put all their energy into Avatar and Sonic, modern Sonic, so just focus on making those two as best as you possibly can, and then if you have time, add in other stuff. Like, it's like they're trying to do those two and classic Sonic and make some kind of a story to fit it all together. Like, they focused on doing all of that at once, when it seemed like they probably should have just focused on what works the best, and if you have time later, put something else in, but if not, just focus on polishing what you have the most.
Should we summarize our thoughts? Christopher?
Yes, and I will do it partly by responding to what you put out there as well, because I'm not going to push back against what you said about them listening to everyone. I think you're probably right. But I look back to how this franchise was like 11 years ago, when there was a new game every 2 weeks, basically, and they were all catering to different sides. I would hope, and what I would like for the next Sonic game, is for them to realize that they don't have to put everything into one game.
Oh, yes.
They can make one game that is specialized toward one style and one audience, and I was going to say shit polish. That's not the way that word works. Spit polish. Spit polish that game to a T, then look at some other studio that does good work.
Well, Mario does that. Mario makes a game for different audiences all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't try to please every audience with one game. They spread it out.
I was just about to say, they make the new Mario games, and then they make the 3D Mario games without 2D, but then I remembered Mario Odyssey has a lot of literal Super Mario Brothers graphics in it, so maybe that's a bad point. But overall, yeah, I think the point's there, because, like, you know, overall, I'd say Sonic Team should just be doing whatever they want for a game at this point, just to get a break. But I think Sonic Team should be doing 3D Sonic. They should be looking at a different studio for 2D.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I absolutely agree that they need to divide their efforts up.
Yeah, and maybe find some way to appease the Sonic fans who really like the characters and the story some way, and just start kind of doling these aspects out of the franchise in different ways to those different people, because everyone talks about how split this fan base is, and it's very true.
I want to say this. It's like, other than Generations and Mania, my favorite Sonic thing, like from my favorite Sonic game of the past several years, was Lego Dimensions.
Yeah.
Like, it's not perfect, but they do so much of that game so right for just a standard, for just a throwaway DLC package in this giant game. It's give Traveler's Tale, like, have Traveler's Tales make a full Lego Sonic game, or just have Traveler's Tales make a full 3D Sonic game, because it shows like if they can.
They did. It was isometric.
But I mean, like, Lego Dimensions is the most, like, actual 3D that any Sonic game has been in a long time. So it's like they have if they're able to, like, work on one from the beginning, fix, like, the biggest problem was the control issues, trying to have Sonic fit with Lego controls. So take that away, just have them do full Sonic game, because they show that they can make a whole nice 3D world using all these references and points from other places, and go ahead. They let them do it.
Their references were on point.
Like, it was a whole world. Like, there was Chemical Plant, there was Carnival Night, you had Hydrocity Zone. It was just like, there was they crammed it all into. You can go to Sandopolis, you can go to Ice Cap. It was such a cool world.
Lava Reef to Death Egg.
So from what I've gathered, if we were to make a game,
Oh dear.
the five of us, it would be something where it is structured as a game where you can pick it up and put it down at any moment. So to me, that just sounds like auto-saving between levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's pretty standard. We want a good balance of tone. So we're kind of sick of super emo the Hedgehog, but we're also sick of super cartoony the Hedgehog. We would just want something with balance. We think that less is more in terms of the story. So we want things to be succinct. Sonic games have never really, like, gone down in presentation. I feel like they've always been good with presentation, so I won't really knock that. But we do want simplicity, and we also would like for us to be in control of the pacing. So I guess that would mean have hub worlds full of life.
And don't make certain levels like 5 minutes and other ones like 20.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like keep alternating between the two or whatnot.
And also, for each game that Sonic Team makes, make sure that that game is for a specific audience. And when they are done with that concept, because maybe they'll be bored with that after working on it for 2 years, they can work on a different project for a different set of Sonic fans instead of trying to please everybody with the same game. I think we nailed it, guys.
I say it's fair.
Sega, hire us.
I was going to say, Sega, hire this man.
God.
All right. Well, there it is. Go home.
We did it.
All right.
That's the definitive what we want next is for it to be good.
Essentially.
Surprise.
We made Sonic.
No, but I think Chris really nailed it. The last nail in the Sonic coffin. Oh God, he's dead. Was
There's a lot of nails in that coffin, my friend.
right? Yeah, no
He
shit.
won't stop dying though.
But I think your point, Chris, was the best point that we've had for this whole conversation. Was stop trying to please everybody with one game, and please different audiences with different games.
Yeah, you can have a gazillion people saying that, all the Sonic games made in the last 10 or whatever years are garbage, and they could all have entirely different opinions while all saying that same thing.
Right.
Just because of the details of that.
Yeah. Because I just look at Forces and I think on paper, that's the Sonic game I've kind of been wanting since I was a kid. Because I was brought into the series with those games that had slightly darker overtones and stuff like that. But it was also trying to be a classic game. It was trying to be a new game. It was trying to also appeal to the Sonic colors, humor, sense of styleability. I can't talk anymore. But, it was just all these things. It was like, just divvy those out. Let other people focus on those aspects and develop them out. And don't smorgasbord them, please, God.
Yeah.
So I gotta hire this man.
Which man?
He put Green Hill Zone in Unity 4. Please hire him.
God, those are annoying.
Oh boy, the opinions of 4 white men and whatever Adrian is. All right, everybody.
Jesus.
Puerto Rican.
Well, okay. On that note, would Adrian and Derek like to pimp anything they're doing on the internet? I don't know.
Sorry, I'm not white enough for that.
Okay. Derek then.
Okay. Yeah, so... Christ.
Speak freely after that, please.
All right, so you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/DerekMK. That's DerekMK. And if you want, on Twitch, I do a lot of speedruns of the best toy franchise of all time, Bionicle. You can find that at bionicle.church.
Whoa,
Yeah.
you can do .church.
Yep, you can do .church.
Is it tax free? It was a bad joke.
It's like it was like $12. It was like $12 for a year.
That's pretty good.
Where can we find you, Adrian?
YouTube at Adrian the Awesome One. Just mainly do LPs. You can find me on Twitter on @1 MI Gamer. MI being the acronym for Michigan. So that's the only 2 things I have. That's where you can find me.
Word. Links in the description, of course.
Yep.
As for FTCR, well, you unfortunately got here, so you know how to find us. So,
Right.
yeah. Nail in the coffin, boys.
All right, Chris, end the video with crabs dancing.
And say Sonic is dead.
Dun, 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 dun.